Hey y'all, in this episode, I am talking with Nicole Magelssen. She runs Denver's largest virtual assistant company. And another one of those awesome stories about a entrepreneur who's sort of forced into it and it's ended up quite well, actually. I don't think I've talked to too many people who had such a good experience with entrepreneurship from the get-go. She did have a rocky first year, and there's a story in there about how things almost ended. She almost quit, almost sold the business just about a year in, and what happened to convince her to keep the business, she'll talk about, and I think it's quite interesting. So another awesome story of entrepreneurship. She is killing it, growing fast, looking to get to 100 virtual assistants within her agency in the near future, hopefully, or at some point in the future. And I think an awesome story. So hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening. All right, listen up. If you're looking for a clean, discreet, tasty way to kick those cravings, Zippix toothpicks are your new go-to. Each pick is just loaded with 2 milligrams of nicotine, enough to take the edge off without knocking you off your rocker. No need to fumble with bulky pouches or reach for something worse. With killer flavors, cinnamon, wintergreen, sweet whiskey, Zippix, the perfect low-key companion, whether you're grinding through meetings, hitting the road, or just chilling. Less potent than pouches, way better than poisoning yourself with cigarettes. So whether you're the corporate bro hustling in a corner office or a journeyman chasing the next big thing, Zippix has your back. Stay sharp, stay fresh, keep your cool, one pick at a time. Use the code PEAKING at checkout. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Get the fix without the fuss. All right, Nicole, welcome to Peaking. How's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me. How are you today, Wyatt?
I'm doing well. I like to start with somewhat of a an easy one outside of the work field. What do you like to do here in Colorado? What's your go-to?
Yeah, I feel like I have the classic Colorado answer. A lot of hiking, just being outside with my family is really what I love doing. So we especially love the fall out here, hiking out in the Aspens. I'm not much of a winter person, so I kind of stay inside for the winter. I don't ski, but love to hike out in the Aspens and be out in the summer and just be in the mountains.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
talked to another guest yesterday, and he's a big mountaineer. Like he's the real
Mm.
deal, climbs rocks and stuff.
Climbs the rocks and stuff. Love it.
He's grown up in Colorado, and so
Mm.
the trails and hiking are just not enough. He's got to go into these. He goes bushwhacking, so he
Oh
goes
yeah.
into just any area and just tries to chart his own course. And he
You don't need
found
to do
a
anything that crazy. I'm fine with the normal trails. I mean, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old boy, so we go at their pace, and do kind of the more easy trails, which is great for me
I,
too. I'm from
I,
Iowa, so I'm still
yeah.
adjusting, you know.
I think they probably appreciate. That's what I said. I was like, see, when you come to Colorado, all the trails and everything, it's just more than enough. But when you're
Yeah,
born in
that's all you need.
Colorado, you start getting crazy and doing all the bushwhacking and bouldering and
Yeah, all that
just
stuff. My husband boulders, but I do not.
I can't get into it. I'm too heavy. I like being big.
I'm okay with a rope. I don't like bouldering on like no ropes.
You've done the rope climbing
Yeah,
though?
I don't mind rope climbing. Bouldering, I don't know. I'm like that far off the ground and I can't let go. It freaks me out.
Yeah, a little
I don't know what's
scary.
wrong.
Still, even rope climbing for someone from
Yeah.
Iowa, that's impressive.
It's definitely way different than Iowa.
Yeah. Actually, the east side of the state is looks nothing like the west side.
Yeah,
You drive through, it's like
exactly.
this is Kansas.
Yeah, it is. It's for sure Kansas.
Awesome. So let's get into it. You are a founder of a company here in Denver.
Yeah.
What is that company? And let's just start there.
Sure. So I run Alpine Virtual Assistants. We're a virtual assistant agency. We have a team of about 35 virtual assistants. They're all US based. just all across in different time zones with different skill sets and backgrounds and expertise. And we match and pair the VAs with different clients, usually online businesses of all different shapes and forms. We're looking for some US based support.
So is that kind of similar? A virtual assistant would be similar to an executive assistant?
Yeah, most of our VAs are executive assistants, and then we do have some who specialize more in marketing assisting. But our bread and butter is really executive support.
Awesome. And we talked a little in our pre-pod call about the origin story. Super interesting. Not too many people have the story that you do of kind of falling into it. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that origin story?
Sure. Yeah. I was a virtual assistant for about a decade, and I was really passionate about my work. I loved supporting my clients and helping them succeed. So really, it started as a side hustle. I had another part-time job that I was doing. To me, it felt like my safe income, which turned out to not be that safe. I was laid off in 2020 when the pandemic hit. Had my son a week after I was laid off. So I was very pregnant when I was laid off and definitely still needed an income. So after we kind of adjusted to my son being born, I knew I needed to make more money. So I realized I really needed to make virtual assisting work for my family. So I went out and I tried to find clients and found too many clients on accident. So I was really overwhelmed. I wasn't doing my best work, and I realized I had to hire someone to really help manage the client load that I had. So I hired my first virtual assistant just to kind of support me. And then I still had way too much work, so I had to hire a second virtual assistant. And by my third hire, I had to step back and realize I need to completely change my business model. This isn't working, and kind of turned into an agency there and really leaned into it and began hiring other virtual assistants to help me support the clients that I didn't really have capacity for anymore. And I kind of blinked, and before I knew it, I wasn't really a virtual assistant anymore. I was running an agency. So it was organic. It wasn't really intentional, but it was really amazing. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
would say so. How does one just start like you did and have too many clients? How did that happen? Did you just reach out to your near network and everyone's like, I loved working with you. I'd love to work with you again?
Yeah, it really started with me reaching out to the clients that I had. I had just a few clients and saying, "Hey, if you know anyone, I'm looking to bring on more clients." And they'd worked with me for years, so they knew really what I was good at and what I had to offer, and they were happy to spread the word. And I just reached out to like local business owners around here that I had connections with. Um, I just began talking more about my business, which I never really did before that. And then I joined a lot of networking groups, a lot of Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, and just kind of just put the word out there. And that was really at the beginning, that was really all it took.
That's incredible. And so the way the model would work is you just bill hours based on how much time you allocate to each client.
Yeah, so the clients sign up for different retainers. So it would be 20 hours a month is our minimum. And then we bill at the end of the month if they go over a number of hours. But yeah.
That is awesome. And then in terms of hiring, what did that look like when you needed new people? Did you just use Near Network as well for that?
Yeah, the very beginning was just network people I knew who were great at what they did and I really trusted. But I very quickly learned I had to create a really extensive vetting process. I think because I was good at virtual assisting, I just assumed everyone was good at virtual assisting and learned very quickly. It's a very specific skill set um, in a lot of different ways. You need different variety of experiences. You need to have a certain personality. You need to have different soft skills. So over time, we built a vetting process that really helps us narrow down in all of those different areas. Everyone who wants to be a virtual assistant will say, I'm detail oriented, I'm proactive. But we had to create a system to help really assess those skills for ourselves. So, yeah.
And
it
you
was-
built that yourself or with a team? Was that from previous inspiration from other firms you had worked with, or is this something you kind of built greenfield?
Yeah, it's really grown over time. So what we do now is not at all what we did back in 2021. But my business manager and she had done a lot of hiring in the past, so she knew a lot of pitfalls that people fell into. I came with the experience of what a good virtual assistant is or is not. So we kind of worked together to create the beginning process. And then, as all things with business, you just grow it over time as you kind of see what's working, what's not working. And as things change, like AI has completely changed our vetting process. So it's just being flexible. But yeah.
How does one get into virtual assistant, or I guess in-person assisting as well? Like, what is the archetype that is what in terms of like what you look for to hire?
Yeah, we look for a lot of different things. One thing that we look for is someone who is a really great communicator, both written and verbally. They not only represent us, they represent their clients to their clients' clients. A lot of our clients have very high up, very professional clients that they need to be able to match their client's tone and present themselves professionally. Um, what we think makes the virtual assistant that stands out from the rest is someone who is incredibly proactive. So, someone who isn't just checking things off of a list that a client gives them, but they're able to kind of see ahead into the future, look at their business and say, hey, you're doing this. I could take that off of your plate, or hey, you have a meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m., but I know you pick up your kid at 3:30. I don't think you have enough time. Do you want me to move that around? You know, that type of assistant who it just takes way more off of the client's plate if they're able to own it instead of just, making a to-do list every day for someone is exhausting. So we're trying to find the VAs who don't need to just be given a to-do list daily, but are just really proactive and getting things done, seeing into the future. Like I said before, detail oriented is huge. You need a VA who is not letting things fall through the cracks, who's double checking and making sure everything is done well. We're looking for a lot of emotional intelligence. We're managing clients' babies essentially. Their business is their baby. So you need to have a lot of emotional intelligence as you're working with the client, as you're working with your client's clients, just able to read the room and to just present yourself well, to respond well to challenges, because inevitably in business there will be a lot of challenges. Those are the big things. There's the list could go on and on, but those are
Yeah.
kind of our big four.
Do you interview everyone yourself still?
Yes, primarily if there is a time where we're in a really big hiring process and I can't be there. My VA success coach, my account manager will run the interview and then I'll watch it later. But I try my best to be on every interview and just be there. I like to know
Yeah.
my team very well. I mean, there's a 35 seems like a lot, but I feel like I still know them all incredibly well. Some of our VAs have been with us since like my first hire is still on our team. So I'm really passionate about virtual assisting. I was a virtual assistant, like I said, so I like to just have that relationship with the team.
Of course. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a good manager, founder, owner.
Yeah.
Have you exceeded every expectation you ever set for yourself? Or are you just getting started? Where's your head at right now?
Well, like I said, kind of started by accident, so I had no expectations when we started. So I would say, yeah, I think I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. I never thought I would have a team of 35. So that makes it a little difficult sometimes to look into the future when this is just something that just blows me away today. But we're hoping to still grow, and we're learning. I'm learning every day. So it's just been great.
How big do you want to go? What do you think you could handle?
That's a question my core team and there's three of us that we ask each other almost every time we meet. How much can we handle? And I think we're just taking it one day at a time, That's about all that we can handle. We would love to have, I think our dream was 100 virtual assistants, but we have a lot of steps to do before we get there, and we'll grow and change exponentially by the time we get there, like we have since 2020.
Yeah, each wave of growth demands a new
Only
area of
business.
expertise. You got to
Yeah.
learn something new as the company scales. And how to give up a lot of the responsibility too, which it sounds like you've done. I think that's
Yes.
something a lot of people struggle with when they start scaling is I can't do everything anymore.
Right.
How
And
was
you
that?
always have.
Say it again.
It's yeah, and you always have. You've done it all. You know you can do it well, so it's really hard to pass the ball to someone you haven't seen do it before.
Yeah. How did you make that work? How did you step away and just trust that they were going to do a good job or at your
Yeah.
standard?
So I have my account manager is also really my personal executive assistant. And so it took me a while to practice what I preached. I felt like I was too small to hire my own executive assistant. It really just came out of necessity. We went on a family trip to Arizona and I was just worked the whole entire time. And my husband was asked, like, what are you doing? You preach to entrepreneurs all day, to business owners all day that they shouldn't do this, but you're doing it. So that really led to some introspection, and I decided to just take the plunge and practice what I preached finally. And I used a VA that was on our team that I knew and loved and trusted. And she's just exceeded my expectations. Really, when you have a great VA, they're able to jump in, they have a little bit of onboarding, and then they just they just take over. And it became less scary the more I didn't have to do. And the more emails I got that just said, hey, this happened, this is how I took care of it, just letting you know. And it's just mind blowing. So once I practiced what I preached, it was great. And I was able to um, really help, really understand more for myself how much of a difference it can make and then explain that to others. But letting go is a
Was
hard process for sure.
was that initiated by that conversation in Arizona?
Yes, it was. She was, I sent her an email asking to talk about it within a week of that. So, yeah.
Was that ever a problem when you were just a VA for your previous company?
Was what a problem?
Working too much, working on off hours, just not being present in moments
Yeah.
that didn't weren't work hours.
Yeah. I feel like I did a really good job setting boundaries with my clients when I was just a virtual assistant. I knew really well. Business owners are working 24/7, but that doesn't mean their virtual assistant needs to be working 24/7. So I did
Yep.
really good at setting the boundaries there. It was really when I crossed over to business owner that I had no boundaries anymore.
How has your husband been watching your meteoric rise as a entrepreneur?
Oh, he's been great. He was able to retire from his job. I mean, he was able to quit his job, and now he's really doing a passion project that he would have never been able to do. So he's great. He's really excited. He loves supporting me and watching me grow, and on the tough days, just being there, and on the great days, cheering me on. So it's rough being the spouse of a business owner, but he does it well.
What's his passion project?
So he does counseling virtually. So it's great. He loves it. It's just a few cases here and there. And so it's nothing that would really have sustained a family, but it's
Yeah,
something that he loves doing and gives us the freedom now that we're both virtual and can set our own schedules to
yeah. Do you
travel and
consider
things.
your business also your passion project?
Yes, it was a passion project for sure. It was a passion project when I was just a virtual assistant. I loved virtual assisting. I loved supporting business owners and watching them grow and thrive. So it's always been a passion project. It just kind of took over.
I think you found it. I think that's the cheat code. I think people that find success are people that just find what they like to do. I think
Yeah,
it's such a challenge to find out what you want to do, what you like to do, and how to make that a profession.
yeah,
And
it
you did it. You cracked
is.
the life code, or at least in business pursuits. If you can make your business something you actually like, something you enjoy, you're gonna
Yeah,
be good at it. You have to. It's going to work out that way.
yeah, it
And
just flows organically when you talk with clients, when you're doing your marketing. It just It flows out of you. It's great.
Yeah, if you can be passionate about what you're doing, that makes sense that you had clients ready to go. It's like
Yeah.
she's good at what she does. She loves what she does. She's someone I want to work with.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So the company building belief that some people disagree with you on, we talked a little bit about that question. Do you feel like you have any controversial or maybe out there company building foundations or beliefs?
Um, I don't know if it's incredibly controversial, but I I would say you can build something great without 30-hour work weeks, which it can be controversial. I know I've talked to some clients who think that's just what it takes. I built Alpine while my kids were at home. They were going to childcare like 6 hours a week. And yeah, I was able to make it work. And I've seen a lot of our clients able to make it work. It just depending on what they're willing to invest in. But if you get the right support, if you have the right focus, I think you can build something without burnout. So my priority when building was that success was really just freedom without the hustle and without the burnout. Some people think that's lazy, but I thought it was choosing sustainability and margin. So yeah,
I think a lot of people would agree with you, and then there would be people that don't. You said 30 hours work weeks,
I said without 80 hours. I mean, I think
80-hour
do it
works.
without 30, but that's way more difficult in the beginning. The beginning is always the
Yes.
hard part,
Yeah,
for
30 didn't
sure.
make sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, without 80.
Oh, that's good. What has having kids taught you about business, if anything?
Well, that's a good question. My son is definitely he's 7 now, but when he was 5, we realized he was definitely the businessman of the family. He started his own trash business. It was, what did
Let's
he call it?
go.
Like your superhero trash day pickup or something. I don't know. He would he wheels out our neighbor's trash for $1 a week. He takes it to the curb and then back, and he does it for our neighborhood. And he created little flyers and he went like door to door and handed them out. And I thought it was adorable. So I love that he saw that I was building a business and wanted to do that too. I will say that was his second idea. His first idea was we have a inflatable hot tub and he wanted to sell hot tub time with him. And we were like, mm, let's keep brainstorming. So trash day pickup worked a little better than hot tub time.
Hot
Um,
tub time.
I know. I was like, where do you come
Mom
up with
says no.
let's keep thinking. So, yeah, I think your kids are always watching, even when you don't realize it. And just setting up a good example for them about what a healthy business looks like, that you can have a business, but that doesn't mean they don't have a parent.
Hmm.
And helping them see that things are hard, things are really difficult, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. Kind of sometimes the rainbow's at the end of the storm. So helping them to see pushing through hard stuff can make something great.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What was the hardest part that you've encountered so far of building Alpine?
That's a good question. I don't know that there's been a hardest part. There's been, just like this roller coaster, this wave of like really, really good, easy, organic months, and then just like a hard month where it feels like everything goes wrong, and then you go back to the good months. And I learned to really never quit on a bad day. There was a day where this might have been the hardest part, when I was maybe a year into running Alpine and I was walking around. We were on, apparently all of this always happens on a trip. We were on vacation to a beach and I was walking around the front yard on the phone with a family member asking them if they wanted to buy Alpine because I was just done. My VAs were making more money than me. I just felt like I was working like way too much. And so I was just offering, "Do you want to buy it? I'm over it. I'm done." And they said, "I really think you need to think this through a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just want to know if you'd be interested." And they said they would, and I really walked away from that really, I don't know, I walked away from that really motivated and ready to just give it my all. And that's when we really started growing, was like within a week of that phone call. Um, yeah,
That's like the meme of the image of the two miners, and one's like digging away, and the other one gets almost to the gold, and he turns around and walks
exactly.
away.
That's where I was at. It was right there. And I was like, I can't quit on a bad day. So I don't know, I don't know, just having that call just opened me up to being like, okay, I can push through this. I don't know what it was.
Are most of your clients local in Denver?
I would say maybe 10% are local in Denver, and then the rest are just all around. But I really love working with my Denver entrepreneurs. I feel like we understand each other.
Yeah, you named it Alpine. It's the same thing with my
Exactly.
play on words of the podcast name. It's like I'm be interviewing people outside of Denver, and then
Yeah.
the peak doesn't work as much if you're talking to
Right.
someone in Iowa.
You have to explain it. Alpine, mountains, peak. Yeah.
Yeah, and then are all your VAs U.S. based, or are they worldwide?
Yeah, they're all US based and yeah, just all over. I think I have two here in Colorado and the rest are just all across the US.
Incredible. And so your model, your I guess benefit to your customers is just connecting to really talented VAs as opposed to them trying to find and track down one of their own.
Yeah, so we have a whole five-step vetting process that everyone goes through and their background checked. And then we get on a call with the clients and really ask a lot of questions to assess what they need and what they're looking for. It really helps us deep dive into who they are and not just match someone resume to person, but really we're finding a good personality fit. We're matching time zones. We're seeing, this what this VA did for you in the past didn't work. We have this VA who really specializes in this area that you're needing. The communication styles match. We're doing all the little pieces to help find this perfect fit for their business. And then when that VA is in their business, if they get sick, if they go on vacation, if anything were to happen, we have that team. They're building out SOPs as they're going, but we can provide a fill in while the VA is out from our team. And our VAs are always meeting with our VA success coach, and we're all having lunch and learns. And so we're just kind of growing together. So it's almost like you have this one VA, but you have that team of 35 behind you. If you're looking for, let's say, social media support or this one-time project, we can just get you someone on our team who specializes in that area if your VA doesn't. Yeah, so it's like this one VA you're working with face to face, but you've got that whole team behind you.
What does the common, I guess it wouldn't be common if you're doing multiple, but what are some examples of the lunch and learn topics?
Yeah, that's a good question.
VA University?
Yeah, VA University. We ask our VAs at the beginning of the year, every year, what they want to learn in these lunch and learns, and we try to cover as many of those as we can, the most common topics throughout the year. So in 2024, no surprise, a lot of the topics that people wanted was a lot of AI, a lot of just how to utilize AI in these different areas. And then beyond that, the sky's the limit. We've talked about emotional intelligence at the workplace. We've talked about QuickBooks. We've talked about, a lot of different specific programs. We've talked about just more broad topics of how to have a successful relationship with your client. Um, Sky's the limit, really. Whatever they want to learn about, we just take that feedback and try to find an expert or have one of us on the core team speak to it. So,
I was gonna ask about that. Like, are you
yeah,
learning all this stuff first and then
I'm
teaching?
learning a lot of this stuff just in the lunch and learns for sure.
What? How do you find the experts? You just reach out to people in your network.
Yeah, people in our network, people in our core team's network. It seems like that's all we've had to do so far. Everyone knows someone who's an expert at it. So,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah.
And what is the kind of archetype for a executive that needs to hire a VA? Like, at what point do you get there?
Yeah, I think by the time you're thinking about hiring a VA, you probably should have already hired one, just from my own experience. But most of our clients are online business owners, and they sometimes they are just looking for a replacement to a VA they've already had, and then sometimes they're doing their first VA hire. So we have a lot of freebies that we kind of set them up with in the beginning that helps them learn how to delegate. We start with like this one, I think it's called 50 Things That You Shouldn't Be Doing in Your Business. So we kind of help them first before they bring a VA on, they need to really know what they want the VA to do. I think that's a common pitfall in hiring a VA. A lot of our clients think, I just know I need one, or a coach told me I need one, or I'm just too busy. But then they don't have a plan, and so it makes it difficult for their VA to get started, and delegating becomes a chore instead of having something already figured out. So we kind of start there. Once they've really decided what they want to delegate, then we'll get them going. I've already lost track. What was the question?
When does a executive
When do they
need a
need a VA?
VA?
Yeah, really, it's when they're not in their zone of genius as much as they want to be. Maybe their
Yeah.
business isn't growing because they're too busy being in the weeds of their business, or they've just realized that they are always doing things that aren't their core strength. It's not in their zone of genius, or someone could do better than they could. A lot of times we're just doing work because it's work that needs to be done, but a lot of times our VAs can do that task faster and better than the executive can, and they can focus on growing their business or whatever it is that they are passionate about and really will help the business move forward.
Yeah, makes sense. And how do you get new clients? Are you mostly referral model? Are you doing online marketing? Are you doing sales calls? What does that new
Yeah,
client acquisition look like?
I feel like that is always changing. So right now it's I mean we always have referrals coming through just from our client base, and we are doing a lot of SEO and just trying to get some of the that Google clients, and then we are going to start experimenting with Facebook ads. So wish me luck there.
Facebook ads are kind of pricey, but I think extremely effective. Their data model is so good. That,
Yeah. Yeah, we did a trial run for a day once, and now we're actually gonna give it a shot. So we'll see. Just experimenting, you know?
yeah, you have to, especially if you're trying to get to 100.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens when you hit 100? You throwing a big party?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I have been working on just in 2025 is celebrating the wins, you know? You have so many
Yeah.
little wins in your life and you just are so busy, like, cool, next step. So yeah, so we'll throw a little party when we get to 100 for sure.
A little party.
A little to large sized party. Yeah.
Have you ever had to fire a customer?
Yes, I have incredibly recently has been my most recent firing. We do our best to really make sure that our clients up front are the perfect fit for our VAs, the perfect fit for Alpine. That's a lot of our onboarding or initial client call questions is really just figuring out are we a good fit for each other because firing a client is terrible for everyone. But occasionally there is a client who maybe just isn't the right fit for us. And so, yeah, we have to let them go. And usually it's very mutual, you know, like this isn't working. We send them off with a recommendation of something that might be a better fit for them. Maybe they need to hire a full-time employee. Maybe they need to find someone who specializes in ads, which we don't do. You know, we have a big referral base, so we send them usually off with like, this isn't a good fit mutually. They agree, and we get them someone who can help them get where they want to be. If it's not us.
Is it usually just lack of fit or any nightmare customers?
There are some nightmare customers, I think, that kind of comes with hiring a virtual assistant. I mean, I don't blame them. Business owners are very protective of their business, obviously. That's their livelihood. And so sometimes because business owners work 24/7, want their VAs to work 24/7, or if there's an emergency, they need their VA there right then, which just isn't how a virtual assistant who is not a full-time employee works. And so that can create some friction for sure. So I understand where they're coming from as a business owner, but I also really value my virtual assistants and the hard work that they do to support the clients. So there is that balance there for sure.
Do you have a list of vendors that you're using for certain things? Like, what's the tool suite of a virtual assistant agency?
It changes like every hour, I feel like, and that's one of the reason for our lunch and learns is there's always a new tool, a new platform, and our clients are coming from like a variety of different industries. Obviously, it's all across the board. So when we do onboarding calls with our potential clients, that's one of the things we ask is what tools or programs do you use that you want your virtual assistant to be using? And we will pair them with a VA who has experience in those tools, because there's no way one VA will know every single tool out there for every online business owner. I mean, there is some overlap. There's a lot of CRMs that are very normal for you to have experience using, maybe the top five. There's obviously like Google Docs and Sheets you need to be familiar with. So there are some staples, but I feel like there's very few staples and across the board. It just is always changing. And there's always a new tool or platform that a client says that I have to figure out what that is because there's always a new one.
So the VAs need to learn their systems more so than you having any.
Yeah, they usually come in knowing, having experience in those systems and platforms. So we will pair them with the client who wants someone who has experience in those systems or platforms. We also have access, we have things that our VAs can access if they're wanting to learn a new system or program, whether it's from a lunch and learn or just online trainings that we have if their client is adding a new platform and they want a really quick rundown of how to use it.
Why are most of your customers online businesses?
It just works. We do have some that are not online businesses, but it works better to have a virtual assistant if you're on online business. A lot of our brick and mortars end up needing someone there or find it easier to have someone there to answer phones or to make a delivery or to go pick something up.
Go get the
Usually,
kids.
exactly. Usually the two roles merge into one if they're not online business. Not always. Sometimes they do just have these very specific needs that they just a virtual assistant can run with. But um, it's just an
My si-
easier transition to bring a virtual assistant into an online business.
yeah, that makes sense. My
Yeah.
sister took a personal assistant role.
Oh,
Maybe it was. I think it was a personal assistant. I don't think it was an executive assistant.
yeah.
But they were. I think they were running a business, and suddenly she found herself pressure washing their house, and she's like, "What is? What is it?
Yeah,
This,
personal assistant means really anything. It has no bounds.
this is not what I want to be doing."
It's
She was the
hilarious.
landscaper suddenly.
Yeah. She's over there planting their garden. It's
Yeah,
great.
not what she was interested in. Any oh shit moments? I guess this is no longer a podcast that your kids can listen to. Uh, I can bleep it out, but
Yeah.
any big moment where you're like, oh my goodness, light bulb while growing Alpine.
Um, I don't know that there's a specific one. I know
It,
last
it seems like it's just been smooth sailing. Like you just
Oh
have
no,
had.
it has not been smooth sailing at all. And I'm really glad it hasn't been smooth sailing. I feel like every time we have those rough months, we really just grow, we change our processes, like we just become better every time. So if it was smooth sailing, we would be a completely different agency. But I know last summer, we went to Africa for 2 months, my family, to finalize an adoption, which ended up falling through. It's a whole story. But
Might have to talk about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, so it was just treacherous time and I had to just leave my team with I'm gonna be gone. We didn't know. We were planning to be in Africa for 2 months, but while we were there, it kind of turned into an indefinitely type of situation where we had no idea how long we would be almost stranded in Africa with very little Wi-Fi, and it's a completely different time zone. And so I just had to just like it was almost like a trust fall, but with my team. I just had to do a complete pass off and just like, can you handle this while I'm away? And I mean, they did great. Our clients stayed, our VA supported each other, our core team really stepped up, and it really built my belief in our team's resilience and strength. But it was definitely it was a terrifying move as a business owner for sure.
That's an incredible feeling if you come
Yeah.
back and everything's still going, though.
I know. I was not sure what would happen. I believed in my team 100%, but um, just leaving it alone for 2 months is terrifying.
2 months. Do you
Yeah.
prefer to not talk about that story?
No, I mean, I don't care at this point. It's been a year and it was incredibly traumatic, but
We don't have to go into deep trauma. I don't think that's the goal of the pod.
yeah, it might make your podcast just a little more sad than you want it to be.
Yeah, this is a peak. I don't know. That sounds like a
Yeah,
deep.
that's a valley. Yeah, not a
Yeah.
peak.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave that. Jumping out of the business, how do you stay sane? Obviously, you are a parent and a mom, but any other interests, hobbies? Obviously, they can be things with your kids. Sometimes parents' hobbies are their kids' hobbies, and seeing them
Yeah,
grow and become
I look forward to having
human.
my own hobbies one day.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe when my youngest goes to kindergarten. No, we just really like to camp and hike, and like in the summer, we spend the whole summer like at the pool. We just love to be outside, whatever that looks like. Colorado is a great place to be outside. And yeah, just spending time with my family. I've gotten really into, I don't know, I'm probably an old lady at this point. I've gotten into paint by numbers. I don't know. I don't know
I've
what
done
happened
that.
to me.
That's fun. That's a
I
good
think it's
time.
I think it's really fun. An embarrassing hobby to admit, but yeah.
Nonsense. No, it's a good hobby. What is
Yeah.
really funny that you should try is a paint your significant other, paint your partner night where
I've
ideally you
seen
have,
that. Really want to
yeah,
try it. I do paint
ideally
by
you have a
numbers.
few others.
I can't paint, so I think it would be hilarious to do that.
It's so funny. My wife and I heard parents, and then my sister-in-law and her dog. Her boyfriend wasn't here. We all did one. It's so funny, and you have to record the reveal. And
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
good.
Should put that on the books. It would be hilarious.
It's such a
Especially
good idea.
my husband can paint, so that's I think makes it even better when one person paints like this beautiful painting and then the other one just presents like something that a 5-year-old could have made better.
I thought mine was so bad. I forgot eyebrows. Somehow I forgot her eyebrows. I gave her eyelashes, but I didn't give her any eyebrows. And it was just, she looked like an alien. And so what I did was around her head, I did all this fun little like color wheel type
Yeah.
blending all the way around. And so the painting itself looked pretty cool, but as soon as you try to look at the face,
Yeah,
yikes.
you're just
Oh man.
distracting from the face. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the funniest, hardest you'll laugh in a long time. That's
That's
a
great.
must if you like painting. Um, let's jump back here. What does success look like for your clients, and then how do you measure that internally?
Yeah. Um, when my and not a very quantitative way to measure it, but really when our clients come back or to us or to their VA and say something like, I'm a better leader because of my virtual assistant, or my business is growing now more than ever, is really just our win. That's our success. We measure that a little more quantitatively through retention and referrals and just the qualitative feedback that we get in. But really, it's just about making more possible for our clients. So as long as they're sticking around, they're growing, and more is possible for them. It's really success.
Qualitative feedback can be just as useful in
Yeah.
UX. user experience research. There's qualitative and quantitative, and you can focus in one. You could be a mixed methods researcher. I
Right.
did all this
Yeah. A little bit of both.
UX research hiring. Yeah, you
Yeah.
take what you can get. Different situations are good for uh, different problems, so it makes sense
Yeah.
that qualitative feedback would work more in this sense. You can't really
Sure.
measure tasks done. I guess you could, but that wouldn't be
Right.
that useful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite like marketing. You can't just track it as
Yeah.
much. But
What if someone is one of your friends or connections, past coworkers, maybe one of your VAs is thinking about starting a business? What are you telling them?
um let's see. So if they're
I'll give you.
thinking about starting a business, they haven't started one yet.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I would I've said this before. I would tell them to not quit on a bad day, to push through. There will be bad days. There will be great days, and just kind of lean in on the great days. And then you don't have to do it all. In fact, you shouldn't do it all. So find your zone of genius and focus there. Find support in the other areas. So if you are phenomenal at the building your systems, but you're not great at marketing, find someone to fill that gap, and that's really how you'll grow. I think I felt a lot of pressure when I started to do everything and be good at everything, which is just not realistic and really stunts your growth as opposed to really honing in on this is what I'm good at, this is what I'll do. Now hire someone better to do the rest.
Awesome. Yeah, I asked that question to my guest yesterday, and he said, "Don't." He
Don't.
said, do not start a business unless you like really struggling and enjoy being poor.
Yeah, it is not what TikTok makes it out to be.
Yes.
Might be good recommendation. Make
That's
sure it's
what he said.
really what you love doing because you will be doing it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says, seems like everyone romanticizes what it actually is. It's really hard work and being poor for quite a while.
For quite a while. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in the thick of it. We're getting there. If you could give one piece of advice to a burned out CEO, someone already doing it, or founder thinking about hiring a VA, what would that be?
Hire before you're drowning, which they might already be at this point. But hiring a VA isn't really luxury, it's really good leadership. So, just do it. You don't have to do it all. Like I just said, you will be a so much better CEO if you really delegate out your weakness and focus on your strength. And a VA doesn't just complete tasks for you, they will return your energy and your clarity. So it's really the best thing you can do for you and for your business, as long as you're hiring the right VA. It's really the
Through
key there.
Alpine.
Through Alpine. Yeah.
Yes. What do you think separates you from other VA agencies?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, first, like I said, we're US based, so that cuts out quite a few virtual assistant agencies. So we focus on the clients who are looking for US based support, who need maybe US based VA for the communications or the ability to really dive in and own their business, and take away all of the pieces, as opposed to a lot of times overseas VAs are great if you're just needing a couple tasks, very specific tasks done. And then, I I was a virtual assistant and now I have a team of virtual assistants that I manage. So we are really people over processes. So we are really invested in our clients' businesses. Their success is our success. And we kind of go above and beyond to really have that personal touch. Um, yeah, and then like I said, you have a team of VAs who are really collaborating. We have a Slack channel where our VAs will message each other and say, hey, um, my client needs this thing done. Can someone jump on a call with me and talk through how they did it best for their clients? So it is like a team that is really working together while you just have this one VA that you are having to really communicate with. That's just managing a whole thing.
Yeah, I think having support Everyone communicating. Do VAs communicate with each other fairly often? Do they know each other? Or is it just like when
Yeah,
as necessary?
we have like an optional office hours almost every week where the VAs can just jump on. We have our core team there so they can ask any questions to the core team if they're struggling with an area. Or they're just otherwise, like we just had one earlier today and it was just kind of chatting. How are things going with your clients? Hey, have you done this for this client before? And then, like I said, everyone's in Slack. So they're all kind of communicating there for more immediate or quick questions or just sending memes or, whatever that looks like. So there's multiple channels to get to know each other in a facet of different ways. But when I was a virtual assistant, I felt like I was on an island, and I really didn't want that to happen for my team. I wanted them to feel like they're part of a team. They might be working for different clients, but we all are working together, but separate. So
And you felt you built that fairly well.
yeah, it's definitely grown over time. When we hired a VA success coach last year, 2 years ago now, and that's really built our capacity for that. There's only so much that I can do. So when we brought her in, she was able to meet quarterly with them. She's able to host the lunch and learns and the coffee chats and get on calls with them when they have a struggle, hey, can you get on a call with me at 5? And she's available. So that's really helped us build more of a community and really like help our VAs if they ever come to us and say, hey, I feel like I could use support here. We're able to provide that for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like I've learned a lot about the VA world that I had
Well, good.
no knowledge of prior. So really appreciate it. Anything else you wanted to share or talk about?
No, I think that really covered it. I think, yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Any last, what would, if someone's interested in learning more about Alpine VA, how would they reach you? What's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, so there's just alpinevirtual.com is our website, and there's a button on there that says Let's Chat, and you can schedule a time if you want to do that, or you can kind of browse through the website and see more of what we're about and how we work. And then obviously we have an Instagram, it's just Alpine Virtual. Yeah, so either of those options, depending on what you're wanting to do, it's great.
And if someone is unsure about needing one, are you still open to a conversation?
Yeah, we do calls like that all the time. You can just click Let's Chat and we'll have a call. And I will be completely honest if now is not the time for you to hire a VA or if you should have hired one a year ago. It is a personal decision, obviously, but I've seen virtual assistants work for clients and not work for clients, so I can help give advice as to if you're ready, if the time is right, or maybe milestones to reach and to see that you are ready. I've had a client who I talked with for like 2 years before she was ready to hire that VA. And it was just checking in, seeing how she's doing, and not yet, but soon until we got her to the spot where she was ready.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's the way to do it. What is that called? Farming or cultivating customers? You're kind of
Yeah.
getting
And even
helping
if
them
she was
get
never
there.
ready, it would have been fine. But she really wanted to get there, which I think is everyone's goal, not having to do
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. Well, pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna be reaching out periodically to see how close you're getting to that 100.
Sounds good. I'll keep you posted. I'll send you an email on the day.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt.